Hi. So today's video is about two phases that you go through when you're first out of a cult or an abusive relationship. Phase 1 is the salvation phase, and phase 2 is the gut punched phase. Let me explain. So when you're first getting out of, first I'm going to stick to cults, and then at the end I'll tie in abusive relationships, remembering that whether you're in a high demand, high control group, or you're just with a high demand, high control person, cult of one, basically it ends up being the same experience. So when you're coming out of a cult, you go through this salvage phase where you're looking at the group and you're going, okay, I got it. So there was some bad stuff. Okay, I got it. And I don't think I want to be a part of it anymore. Okay, good. But, yeah, there's always a but, right? But the whole thing in and of itself was still good. It was just this part of it that was bad. It was just this little part of it that was bad, turned bad, and I'm out of it. No worries there. But as a whole, it was still good. In the cult I was in, I know people that are out for a very, very long time, but they still believe that organization has, quote unquote, the truth. They may be able to step away from it and say, yes, I had a bad experience with it. I don't want to be a part of it anymore, but it's still the truth, right? In the HBO series, The Vow, the cult leaders, Keith Raniere's kind of right-hand person, second to the top in the leadership, Nancy Salzman, you can see her very, very clearly go through this phase near the end of the series. She's talking to a therapist online, and she's doing the salvage thing. She's like, okay, I get it. I can see that Keith did a lot of horrible things. Got that. Absolutely. But the program itself was still good. And the therapist, I'm only paraphrasing here, and please go watch it for yourself. It's an excellent series. The therapist has to say to Nancy, no, not really. You see, everything was tainted. Everything was infected by this psychopath's craziness, and the fact that he's not really living in reality and made himself a little god. Everything was tainted, infected by that. And so you kind of have to just trash the whole thing. The same can be said of an abusive relationship. When you've been in an abusive relationship, you first get out, you're trying to salvage it, going, okay, so the abuse was bad, but we really did love each other. Well, maybe not so much. I did a video on this a few back where I basically say, look, if you can acknowledge that there was never any love there and the whole thing was just a dumpster fire, you're going to be able to move on better. But when that salvage phase ends and you realize, holy mackerel, the whole thing just bad, you feel like you were gut punched. I mean, it's terrible. The level of incredulity you bring to that, and then to have to accept it, it feels terrible. But given enough time, it's also wonderful because it's so freeing. But it does beg the question, after a while, given a little more time, you start to look back on your time in the cult or in the abusive relationship, and you do once again begin to acknowledge, but there were some good things. You know, I had friends, you made connections, you experienced some sort of personal growth or maybe some spiritual enlightenment. But I'm here to tell you that if you experienced any of those good things, you did them. You brought that to the situation. You established that connection, made that friendship, grew spiritually or just personally. You brought that, you did that in spite of the cult or the abusive person. That was in you. And that's what I want you to know. You have a tremendous amount of beauty in you that no one could take away. And I want you to love and appreciate that about yourself. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here, paying attention. And if you know anybody that's coming out of a cult or an abusive relationship, send them this video. Thanks.